Hey guys, I'd kind of like to show you something. You all know that we do a lot of record changers around here, and we're always presented with the same problem. How to make a record changer sound good and play loudly enough through the old radios. I run into that problem all the time, and that's because the 78 players that I'm trying to restore used crystal cartridges, which had an output of about, usually between 1.5 and 3 volts. You can't get salt crystal cartridges anymore. All you can get are ceramic cartridges. And they're great. They sound better. They have less distortion, better frequency response. They don't put out the voltage that a crystal cartridge did. Now, Gary at Voice of Music Audio Enthusiast does a great job of keeping all of us in record changer parts, and I'm grateful for it. But I have noticed this problem all along, that I can't quite get the volume out of any of the cartridges that are meant to replace the crystal cartridges. And, that's not anybody's fault because they're just a different design. They use ceramic elements versus crystal elements. So when I say crystal, the old crystal cartridges were basically a Rochelle salt crystal. And the way that a crystal works, it's a piezo electric element. Now, those of you across the pond will cringe and probably say that it's pronounced some other oddball way like piezo or piezo element, but you're wrong. It's piezo element. I don't care what you say. and they're both piezo elements. The way piezo element works is when you do any kind of put mechanical stress on a crystal, there is a voltage set up across the crystal from one face to another. So you can use that particular attribute to create a signal, and that's exactly what's done with a phonograph. And it's the same with a ceramic cartridge and with what we call a crystal cartridge, except that they have different voltages that are set up because of the different materials. Well, okay, we still have the problem. I have a lot of record playing machines that are looking for 2 to 3 volts, and all I can give it is maybe 3/4 of a volt from a ceramic cartridge. And then I started thinking there's got to be a way around this. There really does. I mean, we shouldn't have to be satisfied with not being able to play our record players loudly. Well, I have a lot of musician friends, and I started thinking about guitars, namely acoustic instruments where people install electronic pickups in them so that they can play their acoustic instrument through an amplifier. Basically, the pickup is nothing more than a little stick, okay? That's a piezo element that picks up the vibrations of the guitar body and makes a signal out of it and sends it off to an amplifier to be amplified. I used to think that maybe there was something electrical, magnetic going on, steel strings and a pickup, maybe it was electromagnetic. Except then I noticed, of course, that you see pickups on acoustic instruments that use gut strings all the time. So that's not the issue. It's the vibration causing mechanical strain on some form of piezo element that it goes off, that creates a signal, goes off to be amplified. Then I started thinking about guitar amplifiers. Guitar amplifiers have like a line input, which is 3 to 5 volts. 3 to 5 volts is right in the range of what I'm looking for. And so I started thinking, wait a minute, how do they get those little pickups, those little piezo pickups, to feed 3 to 5 volts? Well, they do it with preamps. Whenever a guitarist puts a set of pickups on his guitar, he has to amplify that signal such that it can be utilized by the guitar amplifier. And he does so with a preamp, just a little electronic preamp in most cases. And that's exactly what this guy is. I started thinking, well, they have a piezo element, I have a piezo element. Their amplifier is looking for 3 to 5 volts. My amplifier is probably looking for 3 to 5 volts in most cases. This Philco is a special case, but I'm not going to get into that too much right now. So looking for 3 to 5 volts either way. And then I get to this other issue that the fellow that I'm doing this radio for is wanting to play his 78s through his home stereo, his modern stereo, which doesn't even have a phono input at all. So now we have this thing where all he has are line inputs, auxiliary inputs. And so just like a guitar amp, we have to feed 3 to 5 volts into that. But that thing is not compensated. It doesn't have the RIAA equalization set up so that the record will sound right in his system. Now, if I understand right, some gramophone records are cut with the RIAA, some are not. I'm not an expert in that. Please don't barrage me with comments, okay? All I know is if you play it into an aux input without any kind of equalization, it sounds real tinny and metallic and doesn't sound good. I got to thinking, okay, a lot of guitar preamps that you see stuck into the side of acoustic instruments have equalizers built in just like this. So I went to my favorite shopping center online, Amazon, and I ordered up a couple of different styles of these. I ordered a 5-band, I ordered one without an equalizer but with a pot, and then I ordered this guy. The 5-band was quite a bit taller and a little bit longer, so it's a little too big because this guy wanted to be discreet about this. And the one that was shaped like a cigar, that all it had were a volume and tone pot, it didn't sound good, and it didn't really have the gain. But this guy right here has the gain and it sounds good. When I set this up, I can really control these equalizers. This equalizer is very effective, and I can control the sound before it ever gets to the amplifier. So I'm effectively providing some equalization myself to try and mimic that RIAA thing. And what that really means is I'm putting in a little bit of bass boost, because the way the frequency response of piezo element and the amplifiers and all that, at that signal level, it favors the high frequency, and so you'll roll off low frequency before you ever get it to the output amplifier. So what you do is you equalize the thing to kind of compensate for that, and that's what I can do here. This also has a gain knob, okay, so I can control the level of gain, which is good, because if I run into distortion issues, this thing can help. All this little button is a battery check, no big deal. But this is really cool. This is 9-volt powered, okay? That's the only disadvantage that I can see right now is 9-volt powered, so we have to think about batteries. But it doesn't draw current unless I have the output, the 1/4-inch phono plug, phono jack. I have a plug in that jack. That's where the switch is for this whole unit, okay? It only draws current then. Here's the thing. This is set up for a guitar player. So the output on this is a 1/4-inch phono socket. Well, okay, so I had to get a 1/4-inch phono plug to RCA female adapter. No big deal. I went down to my other favorite shopping center, Philco, and I bought one of those. Okay, and you just stick that in there, and now I have RCA going out. Boom, half the problem licked. The other half of the problem is the input to this, which is meant to come from that little pickup stick that comes with this unit. Well, that is a 2.5 millimeter mono plug. Well, here's the deal. I looked everywhere. You're never going to find a 2.5 millimeter mono plug to RCA female. Just doesn't exist. But there is a 3.5 millimeter male plug mono that goes to RCA. That is available. They had hundreds of them at Philco. So, and they also had a 2.5 millimeter male to 3.5 millimeter female adapter. I bought a whole bunch of both of those, and you just put them together. So now you have 2.5 millimeter going to 3.5 millimeter going to RCA. It's a little bit esoteric, I suppose, but it works. Now all I have to do to connect this up is to connect this right here, this input, directly from the phonograph. All right, right from the tone arm. Goes into this preamp processes it, out it goes. Now here's the really cool thing. If you look at the circuit of this radio, the input to the phono stage from this radio is just on the grid of, I forget the tube number, okay, AF6, 7AF6 or so. I'll have to look, I forget the number, but I know I can see it in my head. The input to that phono stage is just on the grid of that tube. There's no DC there. There's no chance of harming the radio or the stereo or anything if I leave both the radio chassis and the stereo connected to this at the same time using a Y adapter. I was going to put an AB switch in there and all of that, and then I thought, wait a minute, do I really need to? And I hooked it up, and I'll be damned, I let it play for a couple hours and it worked fine. So I leave this plugged into the radio chassis, and I leave it plugged into the stereo. This guy, I've got a nice 1,000-watt pyramid amplifier sitting out there for testing, and I left it hooked up to that, and everything worked great. And no problems except one thing. The phono signal cable has got a shield on it that's grounded to the radio chassis. Okay, now if you connect this up to the radio and you don't ground to the stereo, and you don't ground that amplifier chassis to the radio chassis of this Philco, you get hum like crazy. You set up a ground loop and it just hums so loud you can't hear anything else. So all I had to do is I made this simple little cable arrangement here. You know, the spade I'll put under like a transformer bolt or something on the radio on the Philco, and then he can plug this. He can connect this up anywhere he wants. He can run a wire from his amplifier. He can connect this up directly to a little spade, a little post on his amplifier, whatever it takes. This, if you ground the radio, if you connect the radio chassis ground and the amplifier chassis together, it takes all the hum away and it sounds absolutely wonderful. So I'm really happy about it. That, so far so good. We're in good shape. I think I may have solved a problem that I have had for years, and so I went out on Amazon and I ordered 10 of these things, man. And I ordered I got Robert at Railco's get me a whole bunch of adapters, and so I'm going to be set up. Now this little box, I made the little box. I have talked a little bit about the fact that I've been getting into 3D printing, and this was my first little project with a 3D printer. It's not very elegant, but you know what, it works and it's sized right. This guy wants this thing to be really discreet. He does not want it to be real visible. And so I thought, okay, I can put this thing, I'll make it remote so it sits back behind his stereo. And then it doesn't have to be in the radio at all. And I don't have to worry about mounting it either. It's got little mounting feet and he can do what he wants with those. And the really cool thing about these is they only draw current when you have the output, when you have the jack, the 1/4-inch jack plugged in, okay? That's when it's drawing current. So I'm going to recommend to him, if he doesn't want to be replacing batteries all the time, to unplug that there, or simply take the battery out and set it down next to it wherever he's got it sitting. It's that easy to do. You know, bang, nothing to it. It's just like hitting a switch. So that's what I'm going to recommend. You know, this solution works so well, and it's so simple and elegant that I just can't see that worrying about a battery is going to trouble him, because it just sounds great. And I'm going to demo that here for you in just a minute. The inside of the case is pretty simple. There's just a 1/4-inch female phono socket that is connected to the output of this preamp. And then on the very end of the preamp is a 2.5 millimeter input socket that is used to take the input plug from the pickup on the guitar. This here is very simple. This is just a 1/4-inch phono plug to RCA female, piece of cake. So I just wanted to show you what I've been up to. I just basically put the thing together. It's my first shot at 3D printing a box. Didn't turn out too bad. It could have been better, but it didn't turn out too bad. And I'm gonna be getting a lot of practice on that here soon too. All right, let's go take a listen to this, okay? Okie dokie, guys. Let's take another look at this thing. Now we have the radio plugged in. And let me see, I have this amplifier, that little preamp sitting back here inside. Right now it's inside the radio. He'll need to get a patch cable to put it somewhere else. But I've got the battery in it. It's plugged in, so it's basically on. Let me turn the radio on, okay? Now you've already heard the radio play. But what the heck, you know, we'll do a demo of that in a few minutes. But let me show you the record changer first, because I'm excited about that. Okay, I can hear the characteristic mild hum that it's working. All right, let me play a record and turn this on, okay? Here we go. It's on. Needle guard is off of the needle, so here we go. There we go. Now, that's the tone on the record, on the radio works for the radio chassis. I like a different song a little better, so we're going to play something a little different. That was Begin to Begin, and I never did like that song. I like this one better, even though the record is pretty noisy. So what you're hearing is a lot of record noise. It's not coming from the radio. Okay, that's this, okay? Now let me show you what it sounds like without that, let me show you what it sounds like when the gain from this is not present. There we go. What a difference, eh? Check this out. Listen up now. Alright guys, now check this out. This thing is one hell of a beefy amp. Hear that? Turn this down. Now see, you do have to compensate a little bit in this thing because this thing it rolls off the bass. Because it's not a phono input, it's just going through an aux input. But my point is that it sounds really good. So it sounds good, man. Now this tone control only affects the radio, the one on the radio itself. So when he plays it through his stereo, this is just a straight up amp. This is meant for mostly instrument work. But if he plays it through his stereo, he'll be able to condition the sound the way he likes it. That's cool, isn't it? All that's because of this little amplifier, this little preamp. And now remember, of course, this does not play the radio through this thing, okay? Just the record player. Let's turn the record player off and let's check out the radio a little bit. Turn that down. Let's go to, first we'll go to FM. That means turning the phono off. Little Police. Gosh, I haven't heard the Police in a long time.
Stepping into the unknown, it can be difficult to find the way.
FM is coming in beautifully, man.
Mama in her place, and that's the way of things that grow. We have a destiny we can't control, and how could anyone?
Here we go. All right, let's check out AM. This guy's going to be here shortly, so I'm kind of hurrying here.
It is Operation Football on ESPN Radio.
ESPN.
Good evening and welcome to the Journey Home. I'm Mark. So if you're serious about making money from home without having to leave your home,
Here we go. KSOP 1370. All right, guys. So I don't want to get hit with copyright stuff. So there you have it, your 1947 Philco model 47-1230. Got your record player working, got the AM working, got the FM working. Shortwave is working, you'll have to take my word for it. There's nothing to listen to right now in the middle of the day. But everything is working, all sounds good. So I'm going to turn this back to the owner here shortly, and I hope he's happy with it.
When you go in, go ahead. I can see the arms.
All right, guys, I'm going to close her down now. That's about it for this 1947 Philco model 47-1230. It's been quite an up and down challenge, this radio. I'm glad I'm done with it. The owner's coming to pick it up shortly, and I hope he's happy with it. I will tell you that the next project that we're going to hit is a much smaller, simpler project. It's another client radio. I've got a bunch of those to do still, and it's a tabletop, so it'll be much easier to do. I should tell you that I did order some caps and other components for that ICO, so I'm working on the ICO. I just haven't talked about it much. And I need to explain, the reason I'm so far behind on videos, it's October the 15th, and I don't know when you're going to see this, but it's not going to be today, is I've been spending a lot of time helping wifey with some medical issues and some stuff that goes along with that. And it's taken a lot of time away from the radios, and that's how it should be, man. Wifey has to come before the radios. Wifey comes before everything. And so, I've been not at my bench as much as I'd like to be, but I'll get back to it. Meanwhile, I'm getting them done as fast as I can. You can see I did stay working on this one. I just didn't get it done as fast as usual. And we'll get on to that next one. It's if I remember right, it's geez, I can't remember if it's a little Spartan or Airline or what. It's a little tabletop. I'll get to that. So we're going to wrap this one up. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and I'll close up the shop now. So from your Western Outpost in Salt Lake City, this is Michael, and that's all for now.